What do fluent speakers do when they hear a word they don't know? Let's find out. Today, you'll improve your English comprehension. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with a friend. Let's go!
Hey Liam, let me ask you something. What's your move when you stumble across an English word you've never seen before?
Honestly, Emma, most learners immediately freeze up and try to translate it on the spot. And that's exactly what kills their flow and slows them down.
Totally. So you're saying nobody needs to pause and grab a dictionary every 10 seconds?
Oh, absolutely not. That's a total myth. And today, we're going to show everyone the fastest techniques to completely break that habit.
Love that. So what's the golden rule? What's the very first thing I should do when I spot a mystery word?
Don't even look at the word itself. First, take a step back and look at the words around it.
Interesting. But why does shifting our focus like that help so much?
Because context is a total lifesaver. Most unknown words actually reveal their secrets through the sentences surrounding them.
Give us a quick example so we can see how it sounds in real life.
Sure. Imagine you're reading a sentence like, "I was starving, so I bought a huge sandwich."
Okay, but what if the word starving is completely new to me?
It doesn't matter, because you still have bought and huge sandwich.
Ah, I see where you're going. How does the brain connect those dots?
Your brain naturally glues those clues together. You think sandwich, but he must have been incredibly hungry. See? Super easy.
Wow, that really is simple. So context basically tells the story before the difficult word does.
100%. It does the heavy lifting for you.
But tell us, do fluent speakers actually do this, or is it just a learning trick?
They do it all the time without even thinking about it. At the end of the day, native speakers don't stop every time they hit a tough word either.
Because they're just focusing on the main message, right?
Yeah, they focus on the big picture.
So, if you had to wrap up the biggest mistake learners make here, what would it be?
They get stuck staring at the one unknown word and completely ignore the clues right in front of their eyes.
Wow, that hits home. That is exactly what I usually do.
Don't worry, most people do the same thing. Today, we're changing that.
So, should I always try to capture the vibe of the whole sentence first?
Absolutely, Emma. Because more often than not, the sentence as a whole already contains enough information to drop the hint you need.
But what if I hit a sentence that's super long and overwhelming?
No big deal. Just zoom in on the keywords, the action, the people, the places, or the objects. Forget the rest for a second.
Love that. Can you give us another quick example to see how that works?
Sure thing. Imagine you read something like, "The exhausted athlete sat down after the marathon."
Okay, let's say I've never seen the word exhausted in my life. What then?
You don't need to panic, because athlete, sat down, and marathon are already telling you 90% of the story.
Ah, got it. So I can easily guess that exhausted means something like being incredibly tired.
Bingo. And look at that. You reached the finish line without opening a dictionary once.
Wow, that feels so much faster already.
That's because it is. Your brain is naturally wired to find patterns and solve puzzles like this.
And is this a skill that actually improves the more we do it?
Oh, 100%. And it gets sharper surprisingly fast. Plus, a lot of words carry this emotional weight that you can easily guess just from the situation.
Interesting. Can you show us what you mean by that?
Definitely. Imagine reading, "Everyone was thrilled when they heard the good news."
And if thrilled is the mystery word here?
Just look at the phrase, good news.
Right, because good news usually brings out positive, happy emotions.
Exactly. You just instinctively know that thrilled probably means something like very happy, excited, or totally delighted.
Wow, when you break it down like that, it makes so much sense. Do native speakers actually do this naturally?
Oh, all the time. Because from day one, they're constantly connecting new words with real feelings and everyday situations, not just flat definitions.
So, if I'm trying to catch those emotional signals, what's the main question I should ask myself?
Keep it super simple. Just ask whether the vibe of the sentence is positive or negative.
Why is that such a game changer?
Because it instantly narrows things down. It immediately filters out a ton of wrong possibilities, saving your brain a lot of guesswork.
I love that. Can we try one more example just to test it out?
Of course. Imagine you're reading this. The team was devastated after losing the final.
Okay, let's say devastated is the big mystery word here.
Well, just look at the phrase, losing the final. That gives you a massive emotional clue right there.
Right, so the emotion is clearly on the negative side.
You got it. And just knowing it's a heavy, negative feeling helps you realize that devastated means extremely sad, crushed, or disappointed.
That's so interesting, because honestly, I never really thought about tracking emotions while reading English.
And that's the thing, Emma. Most learners get so hyper-focused on raw vocabulary that they completely tune out those emotional signals.
Are these kinds of emotional clues really that common in English?
Oh, they're absolutely everywhere. You'll find them in stories, casual conversations, news articles, and, honestly, even in professional business communication.
So when it comes down to it, context and emotion are basically working together.
They're the ultimate tag team. When you combine them, they become a seriously powerful guessing tool that keeps you moving without getting stuck.
All right, Liam, I'm hooked. What's the third technique on your list?
This one is a total game changer. You've got to learn to spot signal words.
Signal words? Break that down for us. What exactly are they?
Think of them as the glue of a sentence. They're words that connect different ideas and show you exactly how parts of a sentence relate to each other.
Can you give us a few quick examples so we know what to look out for?
Absolutely. Words like but, however, although, because, and so are perfect examples.
And why are these little words such a big deal?
Because they honestly act like road signs through your brain. They tell you exactly where the sentence is heading before you even get there.
Okay, you know I love a good example. Show us how this works in real life.
You got it. Imagine you're reading along and you see the movie was lengthy, but it was interesting.
Let's say lengthy is the word that trips me up. How do I use the signal word there?
Well, that little word but immediately flashes a warning light. It tells you right away that a contrast or a twist is coming up next.
Ah, I see. So how does that twist help me unlock the mystery word?
Think about the structure. It's telling you that the movie had one potentially negative trait, but despite that, it was still interesting.
Oh, wow. So lengthy probably means something like really long?
Sure does. Because we all know a long movie can sometimes feel like a bit of a commitment, but it can still be totally enjoyable.
Wow, that is incredibly clever.
Right? It's crazy how just one tiny signal word can drop that much information and completely save the day.
This is gold, Liam. Is there one more technique we can add to our toolkit?
Oh, absolutely. And this one is all about playing detective. It involves breaking big words down into smaller, bite-sized pieces.
Oh, interesting. How does that work exactly?
Well, a huge chunk of English words are actually built like Lego blocks. They contain smaller parts that already have their own specific meaning.
Can you give us an easy example so we can see the blocks?
Think about a super common word like unhappy.
Okay, let's say I already know what happy means.
So when you see that little prefix, un, stuck to the front, it instantly flips the switch to the opposite meaning.
So unhappy just means not happy?
You got it. Simple as that.
Wow, that's actually incredibly logical.
Right? English gets a bad reputation for being chaotic, but it's often way more logical than learners think.
I love it. Can you show us another block we can look out for?
Definitely. Take the word rewrite.
What's the secret clue I should be hunting for here?
Look at the front again. The prefix re almost always means again.
Ah, so rewrite literally just means to write something again?
Bingo! And just getting into this simple habit of spotting those patterns can literally save you from looking up hundreds of words in the dictionary.
That is so powerful. Does this trick really work with a lot of English vocabulary?
Oh, 100%. Prefixes and suffixes are popping up constantly in everyday English. Once you start noticing them, you can't unsee them.
All right, Liam, give it to me straight. Is there a secret underdog technique out there that most learners never ever hear about?
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, Emma, this might just be the most powerful, liberating technique of all.
Oh, now I'm intrigued. Come on, what is it?
Ready for it? Learn to completely ignore some words.
Wait, really? Just skip them?
Yes, because at the end of the day, not every single word is essential to the story. I know it sounds wild, because most learners have been brainwashed to think the exact opposite.
It definitely feels wrong. Why is just ignoring a word actually useful?
Because it protects your focus. It keeps your attention glued to the main message, instead of letting your brain get hijacked by one tiny speed bump.
Okay, I need to see this to believe it. Can you show me an example?
You got it. Imagine you're reading this sentence. I picked up the newspaper and sat on the veranda.
And let's say the word veranda completely throws me off.
Precisely. But look at what you do know. You still understand the main action perfectly. Someone picked up a newspaper and went to sit down somewhere.
Wow, that actually is a huge realization. It doesn't really matter where they sat, just that they sat down to read.
Bingo! It's a total mindset shift. And if you want to take these exact skills to the next level, click right here on the screen to watch our next video, How to Read English 3 times Faster Without a Dictionary.
I don't want to miss it. See you there.
Bye!
Bye-bye.